Hey, kids, it's time for another exciting episode of KWJUDAS.
Doorman was stamping hands. It was the last night of our high school band. Arms around each other's necks, dancing around as we flex, flex, flex. Your mama's there and she's snapping pics. Facebook Live without a single click. Pretends to stream the band on stage, but on the screen is a son's fat face. Doorman was stamping hands. The doorman was stamping hands. The doorman was stamping hands. It was the last night of our high school band. Ryan got engaged in Arizona to become an audio engineer. And the school Sunday placed him in a position in his field somewhere across the U.S. His first 9 months were up, and hopefully she'll be able to move out and meet him. The doorman was stamping hands. It was the last night of our high school band. Rookie card had their last show just over a month ago, when the drummer called it a day. We all thought that they'd gone away. And Rookie Card played their last show a couple of months ago. And the old bassist came back on drums, and Rookie Card soldiered on. Man was stamping hands. It was the last night of our high school band. Arms around each other's necks, dancing around as we flex, flex, flex. Flex, flex, flex. Flex, flex, flex. Flex, flex, flex.
All right, that was Doorman from Miss Massive Snowflake here on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo. And goddamn, we have had these guys booked more than once, and
more than once.
Just keeps seeming to slip through the cracks.
Well, I'm glad you pursued us and kept with it, because I'm happy to be here.
And he's not even here, folks. We're doing this over the phone once again.
I'm in Billings, Montana.
Okay, I was just going to ask, where are you at right now? Are you on tour, or is that where you're from?
No, I'm from Billings. I lived here till I was 17, and then I left for 29 years, and I moved back like 5 years ago. Yeah, so I lived in California and Oregon for almost 30 years.
Where were you at in Oregon?
Portland. I spent about 20 years in Portland. Mainly I was in a band called Rollerball. I was in that band a decade. They've been a band since 1993. It's the same trio. They've had a few other people join the band and leave, but the original trio has always been the same band, which is pretty impressive. Because what is it? That's 30 years. Yeah. Oh yeah. They just played this week in Portland, Oregon. So I think that's a 29-year career already. Pretty amazing. Good band.
I'll have to check them out. That sounds interesting. I hear a lot of good bands out of Portland. You know, I've been booking bands for like 20 years.
Oh,
and,
awesome.
Yeah, like I've run all ages venues. I've run a couple, like some bars, and I've done, just a lot of I've been in a lot of bands. So, yeah, Oregon altogether. If someone says they're from Oregon, I'm just like, this should be interesting.
Yeah, I spent 20. I just was there, Miss Massive Snowflake, right before we were supposed to be in Provo there to meet you, or Orem. We had played in Oregon. We played Portland and Eugene in Oregon on this last tour just 3 weeks ago, a month ago.
Yeah, Eugene's actually where I've spent the most time. Well, pretty much any time I've been in Oregon. Sure, we'd like go travel other places, but I got family there. And
cool.
It's a cool place. I like that place.
Yeah, we had a cool show. There's a venue there called John Henry's. This is the third iteration of it. I've played there in the 90s with that old band Rollerball I was talking about earlier. Now it's cool. They have a new venue, a new spot, different people running it, but it's cool. They've kept that name as a, like a part of Eugene's history, music history.
Oh, got a lot of historical shit going on there. So how long?
Yeah, I run a venue here right now. As I said, I'm on break. There's a comedy show. I run a all age DIY space here in Billings called Kirk's Grocery, and
cool.
there's from 7 to 9. There's a comedy show, and there's a door person and sound person in there right now. So I was like, I got to take this call, and then at 9, a band from Bozeman, Montana plays. So that's why I was like, I got to take off at 8:45.
So you got a comedy show and a rock and roll show going on tonight.
Yeah, 2 totally different. It's $12 at the door, $20 for both. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Sounds like a cool fucking place.
It is pretty cool. Yeah, I moved back here, as I said, and it's pretty inexpensive here. At least before COVID, it was pretty inexpensive. A lot of people moved here during then, and so it's been able to do a lot of really fun things. If you don't, it's a pretty big space. You could do a lot of fun things there. Bands. There's a music festival here next weekend, or August 4th, 5th, and 6th, and we're part of it. Oh, it's mainly like punk and hardcore and experimental, I would say mainly. It's that's kind of how Montana leans, is like punk, hardcore. There's some metal too, but mainly I would say more like punk and hardcore and experimental music. Experimental music is pretty fun here.
That's really cool to hear. I dig me some experimental stuff. And in fact, that's kind of what I was talking about a lot up in Oregon. You get a lot of weird bands doing some interesting stuff. I am not going to lie, man. I didn't know there was that much cool shit going on in Montana.
There's a pretty cool scene here. Like the band here tonight is from Bozeman. I would call them more rock than punk, but they're just like, they'll be spilling beer and rolling on the floor and doing guitar solos. They're out of control. The singer usually takes his belt off and whips the lead guitar player's strings while he's like doing some weird ass back extension while they're screaming. But it's more like old school rock and roll, like 70s rock, like super amped up. Like, I don't know. MC5. I don't know. I don't know. It's fun. It's super fun, but I'm excited to have them. They just did some shows around Montana, and they played here, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and they're just fun. They're really fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a hell of a time. Well, we don't want to take up too much of your evening. It sounds like you've got some.
Let's talk about the Doorman, because that's a good story in itself.
Yeah, the song we just heard.
Yeah, it's you can hear it in the song. So I'll let you, if someone wants to listen to lyrics, they can just listen to lyrics. But as I said, I run this venue here, and there was this band here called Rookie Card in Billings, and it was the very last night I was there. They were done with high school. They were graduating. This was right pre-COVID. I don't know. So I guess that was, 2019. And school's out, and it's their high school rock band that's been this punk band in town for emo. Fifth wave emo is what they like to call it. And it's their last show, and their mom comes and she like videotapes them, and it's just that's kind of what the song The Doorman's about. I was the doorman, and the kind of the hook is the doorman. The doorman was stamping hands, and that's like me stamping hands and watching this like mom like film her son at this breakup. But then lo and behold, the old bassist came back on drums like 6 months later, and now Rookie Card's a band again. I think they're actually going to go on tour next month.
So what was with everybody drawing on the calendar? Or that little poster in the front?
Oh, that's I did this poster. I think that poster that you see there in that video is in like 2014 I did a US tour, and I've always done art for all my posters and for all my album covers and stuff. It's always drawings or paintings or collages or something. And I was working with a promoter that was like, you should really do a photo of yourself. And so I did that photo of myself on that poster, and I sent them all over the country. And like all over the country. If you go to Instagram and put in like hashtag, I think it's Miss Massive Snowflake Remixed. I think that's what it is, that hashtag. It's like I just show up at a gig and people have like drawn all over my face, like drawn like tattoos all over my neck, or like, drawn horns on me, or, defaced me. Or this one in Dayton, Ohio, at this pizza restaurant, someone had cut out Kesh's face and put it over mine. And then there was another poster. There was two posters there, and they cut out Kesh's hair and put Kesh's hair on the other poster. So I just started taking photos of all those posters, and I always thought it was funny. So I think I just told the people who were in the video, I was like, you should just deface this poster. Because it was kind of like, it's like a long running Miss Massive Snowflake joke, that poster. Because I was like, oh my God, this is not even really a good photograph or anything. It's not, I don't know. That's what that was about.
Yeah, so is there a story behind this church casino?
Oh, yeah, totally. I live in Billings, Montana. I grew up here, as I said, and pretty much it's all casinos and churches. Like you drive down our main street and it's like a few casinos and some churches, and it's like casinos and it's churches. And then all that else is you really get mixed in is fast food. So that's just a homage to my hometown. And I always wonder if the people in the churches and the casinos are the same people. Or I always want to see the Venn diagram of Billings, because I don't really know, because I don't really hang out in churches nor casinos. So, but I would love to see the Venn diagram of what the amount of people that go to both and don't go to either is. Yeah, like what it would be if it's like only 20% or if it's like 90%.
I would guess it's above 50. Just if I had to guess. But
I don't have any idea. Yeah, so that's just like a... and it's the whole album is your favorite band. The whole album's kind of about being in a band, and or actually, it's more from the point of about half the album is from the fans' point of view. I would say, like how fun it is to go see a live band that you love, and how good you feel when you go see a band that you love. So I kind of tried to write this record about that moment, like the connection between the fan and the band. And so the way Church Casino came into that is just that it's supposed to be like the tour song. It's like super like, really rocking. And it's just like Church Casino and fast food. And then it's like, I think the breakdown is like American US tour, every town looks the same. I think that's the only other lyrics besides Church Casino, fast food. That's all the lyrics.
Except Eugene, of course.
Yeah, not every town does, but there's a lot of Taco Bells out there and stuff.
Even the homeless people are friendly in Eugene. Okay. Without further ado, this is Miss Massive Snowflake on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo, clear out of Church Casino, USA. Thank you all for
exactly.
Church, casino, 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 fast food. Church, casino, 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 fast food.
by everyone's favorite band, Miss Massive Snowflake, here on KWJUDAS Free Radio, Provo.
I'm glad to make your listeners' favorite band, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, and they're just going to have to deal with it.
Great. Yeah, so that was the title of the album. That was the title track. It was kind of that was kind of the lead into what the album was about, like how much you love music, how much you love seeing bands you love,
Right.
how great that moment is, and how good you feel, and how sometimes you feel so connected to like the singer of a band. That's kind of what that song's about. It's conversation between the fan who goes to see their favorite band on their tour every year and stands in the front row with flowers and throws flowers at their favorite singer, and then the singer singing back to them like, oh, it's great to see you in your tour t-shirt from last year. And then it goes into like, we were in isolation for COVID is when this record was finished. So the lyrics kind of move into that. I hope to see you next year. We're all shuttered in our homes. So it's kind of a nod to like, how much the band needs the fans and the fan needs the band. And the woman who sang on that is this local woman. She plays under the name Dame. And I just love her voice. And I just reached out and asked if she would sing on it. And she would. And a lot of what this band is collaboration. It started as a solo project in 2004. It was me with acoustic guitar, like pre-programming and like GarageBand, and playing along to like videos I had made, pretty multimedia. But, you quickly run into glitches and all by yourself touring solo and stuff. It was just, the computer wouldn't work, or I didn't have the right adapter for the whatever. So I kind of got out of that and I started playing with a bass player, and then we turned into a rock band for now quite a while.
So you're a three-piece?
So the band is pretty much me, only because I've been the constant member. There has been Jeannie Kennedy Crosby, or Jeannie Kennedy, played bass from 2008 until 2021. We just couldn't. We had lived in different states for over a decade. The whole band, like everybody, lives in different places. I used to tour nonstop. I toured from 2012 to 2017. I did like 250 shows a year. Just by myself, and then I was doing another like 25 with the band. So it was just hard to keep a band together working like that. And I moved back to Billings, and I run this venue, and there's just young people here that want to play with me because their bands play here and they're my friends now. And so now I'm 51, and my band is a 21-year-old drummer and a 20-year-old bass player. We just did like 10 shows in the West, and it was super fun. The band has always kind of been about restraint. Like I've always kind of tried to keep some restraint on Miss Massive Snowflake. Rollerball pretty much had no restraint. Like we would just be like crazy for 20 minutes at a time. And so I tried to really keep this band like with a pop attitude with some restraint. But now that I'm playing with these two guys who play like punk rock and stuff, the band has turned into like a pretty power trio, and it was really fun after never playing some of these songs like as a rockin' three-piece, always kind of keeping them with some restraint and keeping the tempos lower, more like on the albums. And it was a really fun tour. Yeah, there's a music festival here. It's called Julia Louise Dry Fest, and it's next weekend, in August. And so that three-piece will be playing here, and I'm excited for it.
So when you were coming through originally, because as I said earlier, we had Miss Massive Snowflake actually booked here live.
So that was in May of 2020.
Right.
We were supposed to play there. That was going to be Jeannie, who I was just talking about on bass. Andy, who's played drums for me for the last decade and has recorded all our albums. He's the engineer and producer, even of the last one. He produced it. It was and then this guitar player here in Billings that I had played with for a few years, and we were all going out together. It was going to be the first, quartet Miss Massive Snowflake tour since like 2010, because we'd been a trio forever, a restrained trio, but a trio.
All about the restraint.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but it's fun when you let go of that. I've really enjoyed just rocking again. I played a lot of really loud, fast music in my teens and 20s. So I just, just naturally, I started to focus on lyrics and then wanting people to be able to hear my lyrics, which leads to playing a little quieter and, things like that.
Word. So let's get into another song.
Let's head into Oh Shoot. Let's end into Oh Shoot. I think it's another good pop one. Kind of, unless you had something else planned.
We're going to play Oh Shoot here on KWJUDAS by Miss Massive Snowflake. KWJUDAS, Free Radio Provo. Thank you all for listening.
Oh shoot, we partied in Butte. Dropped my phone and chipped my tooth. Saw him smash his guitar in New Mexico. Punch a fan in the face in LA. Last week I got the email cause I was still on the mailing list. It's been 10 years, they're back out on the road and I drove 8 hours out for this. Streamed the entire band's discography and sat through the local opener. After partying at an artist warehouse where I made out with the drummer and she had to make Seattle by 5 p.m. But when I woke up, she was gone. Ran my teeth across my tongue, feeling each new crack. Cut my fingers scrolling Facebook on the splintered glass. Every time I see my favorite band, oh you know I let them know that I'm their biggest fan. When I was young and dumb and out of my mind, jump around, scream and dance, hold love, and made signs. But now I softly nod along, mouthing each and every word to every single one of her songs. And oh shoot, oh shoot. Oh shoot, we partied in Butte. Dropped my phone and chipped my tooth. Some smash his guitar in New Mexico. Punch a fan in the face in LA. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. And when you took your bow, you were so beautiful. You're beautiful. You're Your resplendent smile and your phenomenal tone, babe, when you sing the hits, yeah, they cut to the bone, to the bone.
That was To the Bone from Miss Massive Snowflake on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo.
Free Radio Provo.
Hey, that was some good hype right there. I like it. We should have you on more often.
I thought I should be your hype man. Like, yeah, keep going.
You'll be my Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
You wear a big clock around your neck. He was
Yeah.
with the clock, right? The clock.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, for
you're,
sure.
You're Flavor Flav, and I'm
All right.
Chuck D or whoever.
Yeah, that you nailed it. And Terminator X. It was
got it right?
I don't know if that he stayed with them forever, or maybe he's back. I don't know.
Oh,
They were a crazy band. They always had shit happen. Oops, there it went.
Chuck D sets the bar for what is underground, and that bar is Chuck D. Just saying. Speaking of underground, I like the fact that we both have experience running different all-ages plays. What was the name of your place?
My name is, it's called Kirk's Grocery. It's here in Billings, Montana.
Kirk's Grocery.
Yeah, and that's the name that because it was a grocery store that was around in the 30s and 40s. The building was from 1913.
Word. This is an old, rundown grocery store.
Yeah, but my landlord has really kept the insides really beautiful. So, like, it's like the original ceiling from like 100 years ago, like those tin roof ceilings. In one room, it's all painted white. In the next room, it's like the original patina, all like kind of rusted and super cool. But he's kept it up. He's like not redone the floors. There's still these original beat up, thick wood floors. We shined them up before we started it. They are no longer shiny, but
after a couple punk shows,
Yeah. A lot of sweat on them.
Right. Well, that should make it shinier, shouldn't it?
Maybe so, yeah. Oils it.
So what was it between, you said it was a grocery store in the 30s. What was
Yeah,
it
so between
then
then, it's
now?
great. The great part about running it is so many people will walk in and they'll say, one guy, he was like, man, like 15 years ago, he was from Uganda. He was like, this is the first place I lived. I lived in the basement, and the basement is so gross.
shit.
I can't imagine living down there. It's like original wood floors that are decaying, and you can just see like the dirt of the ground under the building in some places. It's just like, they're huge planks. They're like, I don't know, 2x14s. I don't know. But, they've rotted in some places. And, yeah, he lived down there. It's been a yoga studio. Someone's been like a decade ago. My band practiced here. The only question my landlord asked me when I rented it was if I sold opiates. That's the only question he asked me. I said I do not, and he was like, "All right." And then I was like, I was like, "Whoa, okay." So I assumed before I was there, a lot of people have lived there. It's kind of like a glorified large apartment. It's an old brick building.
Right.
So like when you're at a show here, it holds 40 people. That's pretty full. And it's kind of like a glorified house party kind of scene.
Still sounds pretty badass to me, man. I'm loving this place the more you keep talking about it. If ever I'm coming through, dude, I'm hitting you up for a gig.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We do touring bands all the time. I mean, that's
Hell
our
yeah.
thing. That's
So being that old, I mean, I bet you pick up some pretty creepy vibes, huh? Any like weird shit going on there?
There's a spot. It's where actually right at the original back door. So at some point along the time, they added on more brick building to the back of the building.
Right.
But you can tell it used to be the back of the building because in this room that's called the tub room, and it's called that because on the door it says the tub room. I don't know where that came from. But when you go in that and you look back at the rooms that you have passed through, there's like bars on the windows. So that was the original back of the building. And right there where the back door is, and then right at the back door, there's stairs that lead to the basement. There's multiple times when I first was here, got the building, I would go through this spot. You'd just be walking, and all of a sudden you'd just be super cold, and you'd just be like, whoa, weird. And then you would go like 4 more feet, and it would just pass like a thought. And I didn't realize it for I felt a few times. And then one day I was like, it's always right here. And then, sometimes I'm alone in the building late. It hasn't happened in a couple years. I think I just got really used to the building. I would get super freaked out. And I have this set of tarot cards that my friend who overdosed back in 2002 did really weird things with. And I've kind of I'm not into tarot cards. They're not my thing, but this was a thing that he was into the Necronomicon and using these cards and just doing wild stuff. And he thought these spirits were after him. And so I have this. When he overdosed, his mom told me to go through his room. I took some records and I took this tarot card box that I thought probably no one should own, or no one should use, because I don't really know much about tarot and I'm not even into it, but I believe in energy and that kind of stuff. And he was super into it in a dark way. So I've just had this thing for 20 years and I just kind of always keep it hidden and I keep it away. And anyways, there's this guy who lives here in town and he came one night and he's just kind of out of his mind, a weirdo. I don't know if he's on drugs or he's just surfing a different channel than the rest of us or whatever. But he starts hanging out in that spot in Kirk's that gets all cold. He walked through that and he was like, hey bro, man, you got some weird, and then instantly he just finds this box that these tarot cards are in like my back room. They're not like accessible. Like he within like 10 seconds after saying that, he just finds this box and he opens it. And I was like, hey dude, that's not something we mess with. That's just like something I got. Either I need to bury that thing or I don't know. I don't even know why I keep it.
But he just went right to it.
You just found it right after it and he opened it, closed it. I was like, and he didn't get down. And then we turn around and I have this, it's an art gallery. Kirk's, the front part of it, I show art. There's this painting. We go back to the front room and I'm kind of telling him the story I was telling you about my friend. And there's this painting and it's kind of this local painter and she paints portraits of people and she kind of puts constellations behind their heads. And then maybe parts of your skeleton would be part of the constellation, how you would draw, like a little point and then a line, how they do constellations like that. And I look at this painting and I swear this painting was like looking back at me and I'm like, yo, this painting is looking at us. And he's like, and it was super wild. And we rolled out of there like 30 seconds later. I was like, I'm out, bro. This painting is looking at me after you found the tarot cards. Why did you even know that they were there? Yeah. And then so it was all happened probably in, I don't know, less than 5 minutes, the whole interaction. And he actually never came back to Kirk's. I barely knew the guy, but he was not a regular, but he never came back. And I was all weird. Whoa. Anyways, that's kind of the weirdest thing I would say. And I haven't felt that. And I think maybe it's just, I got used to the building or the building got used to me or whatever,
Right. That's not like super freaky, but that is pretty what the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know. That's about all I got, I had a friend who thought he was visited by aliens all the time back in San Diego when I lived in San Diego. And then we saw that movie. So he had told me all these stories about how they visited him and all this stuff. And then that movie, what was a book too, but with Christopher Walken, not First Contact. What's it called? Anyways, there's a movie and literally the scenes in it, how the aliens approach the people, are exactly how my friend had described it for like 3 years, and that was really weird. Because I'm always like, you do a lot of drugs, you're on acid, whatever, bro. You're just whatever. And we were high school, Billings, Montana, maybe Utah. A lot of young people do a lot of dumb stuff.
What else is there to do besides?
Yeah, exactly,
Hurts?
exactly. So that was a pretty freaky thing, because like pretty much exactly how it's shown in that movie that came out in like 1990. He'd been telling me since like junior year, 87. I was like, whoa, like the different sizes, the grays and the blues, and how they touched his face, and he would just not remember till he woke up again, and things like that.
Damn, we got to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Is he still around?
But yeah, not much
or?
about Miss Massive Snowflake besides the music on this show, but that's great. I mean, my life, I'm older, I'm 51, and I've kind of led a DIY life my whole life. And all the art has just kind of blended into one for me. Like I have this venue, but like, this morning I did improvisations with a couple people that hang out here. And then, my band will play here like in a month, and like, I don't know. And I designed the flyers for it and kind of help with the branding. So like everything is kind of the same to me at this point.
When I had my own
So it's like the music and the visuals and kind of everything just kind of morphs together as I've gotten older. And I don't see, as we talk about Kirk's, it's like a social art project for my hometown, where Miss Massive Snowflake is just as much of an art project, but it all just kind of runs together for me now. I've kind of crafted a cool life coming back home.
Oh yeah, it sounds like you got a really badass setup there, man.
Yeah, it's been good. I've had it worse. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you said that you had an EP that you just brought out.
Yeah. So we had an EP came up back in March. It's 4 songs that we recorded through the internet with Andy, who's done all our records. I talked about him earlier. He's played drums on almost all the albums and recorded them all. He, at his studio in Portland, I would send him guitar. Actually, I wrote this whole Intrepid Feelings on bass. It's the first album I've ever written the whole album on bass, which is just weird. I just played a bunch of bass, and I recorded some I kind of did some drum machine beats, and then he replaced those with real drums, added synth. Pretty much Andy made the record. I just kind of made the skeleton of it, and then came back and put a couple vocals on it. And kind of Andy always, I kind of write the songs and write the lyrics, and Andy just makes the albums. Like he's a real good producer. I feel like he knows how to work with me. He's just like, oh, I think a synth should go here, and I'm like, well, every time you put something on the album, it sounds good. So just keep doing your thing, So I love working with him. But this album, Intrepid Feelings, or this EP, was just very much me sending him bass tracks I had written with some like drum beats on them and some minor synths, and then he just kind of really flushed them out, and then we put the vocals. No. It includes Jacopo Andreini, who plays an instrument called the bouzouki.
Hell yeah!
So he bowed it. He did a bow. Yeah. So the last track has bowed bouzouki on it, and he lives in Italy. And when I've toured Europe, he's toured with me twice as the drummer. I didn't bring a drummer. I didn't bring Andy. Jacopo played with me, but he also, I know him as a saxophone player, but he also plays drums. But then when I said, hey, will you play sax on this song? Because I wanted him to play sax on it. He said, actually, I haven't played the sax in like 2 years. During COVID, all I've played is bouzouki. Do you mind or the first year, he's like, can I put bouzouki on it? I was all, sure, man, do whatever you want. You always do cool stuff. And so that's kind of like that crazy guitar sounding thing in The Doorman is a bouzouki. The lead guitar is actually a bowed bouzouki. And then he's also on the last song, Exhaustion. And there's this guy, Arrington Denaiso, who is from a band called Old Time Religion out of Olympia. And he played clarinet on it, like bass clarinet. And it's just a song called Exhaustion. Clarinet. And it's just squeaking and squawking and, just awesome. And I'm playing these super heavy, loud, just guitar ringing chords. And it's just kind of got like bird squawking free jazz clarinet on top. Wow. But those were all done. I just sent them a track and was like, hey, would you put something on here? And that's kind of how Intrepid Feelings was made. Me and Andy, Jacopo. Oh, and then Jeannie, who has been the bass player in Miss Massive Snowflake, she put vocals on one song, but she didn't do anything else on the album. She put vocals on the song Love. So it's just kind of like me sending out tracks to people and seeing who gives me what, and then Andy putting that all together within a timeline. Me being like, okay, we got one more month. Whatever people give you in the next month, that's what we use. And yeah. So yeah, that's what this and I love it. A lot of people have really enjoyed it. I'm really based around lyrics and songs, and this EP allowed us to think more in like sound instead of like storytelling.
I'm stoked to hear it. The more you're describing it, I'm like, this sounds fucking awesome. So without further ado, we're gonna get into a word from our sponsor, Derp, and then I think we should just play the whole EP.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let it go. It goes through all the emotions. It starts with praise, then it goes to love, then joy, and then exhaustion. Those are the 4 cuts. That's their names.
What's the name of the EP?
Intrepid Feelings.
Intrepid Feelings.
Feelings that are there.
Feelings that are there. Did you say are or are not there?
That are there. Yeah, intrepid's like creeping. They're creeping feelings that are there.
Creeping feelings that are there. By Miss Massive Snowflake on KWJUDAS 3 Radio Provo. But first, a word from our sponsor. Hey kid, are you tired of always sounding like Audio Slave? I don't sound like Audio Slave. I'm just a kid. I'm not even in a band. Oh, let's not be silly. Why, every time you open your Wang Chomper, it sounds exactly like the band themselves. Wang Chomper? Your mouth, kid. That thing with which you chomp Wang. Oh, I hate Audio Slave and I hate you. Leave me alone, derpin' guy. Wait, don't you want to know how to stop sounding like Audio Slave? Oh, yeah, kinda. Well, sorry, kid. You're screwed. You're a little toad. All I wanted to do was help. Oh, I'm sorry, Derp guy. Nope. You're still screwed. You sound like Audio Slave the rest of your days. Oh! Brought to you by Derpin Schlee. And remember, if it doesn't say Derpin, it's not Derpin Schlee.
that I feel is real, so real. And you're still mine. So hit the lights.
We'd like to thank you for joining us on yet another exciting and exclusive episode of KWJUDAS on Free Radio Provo. We now turn you back to our regular free radio program.